All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. We figured that it would be useful to, number one, mention Chris Carson this past week. He did announce his retirement after only 5 years in the NFL due to a neck injury. So it's unfortunate that he ended his career so soon, but we understand.
Very, very sad, Jose, because early on in his career, he definitely seemed like the premier running back for the Seahawks. So it's very sad to see him go, dude.
It's a shame, yeah.
Can't say enough.
Another blow to the Seattle Seahawks, despite us, bogging down on them so much, and we're expecting that we are not expecting a whole lot from them this next season, a whole lot of production. Mm-hmm. It's another blow to them. So unfortunately, that's just kind of the way of the game, and it's up to them to start building that back up.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Secondly, in other news, Julio Jones signs a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to join Tom Brady.
A lot of people see this, Jose, as a last desperate attempt for Julio Jones to get a ring. But what they're mistaken is that he had Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback last year. He's going to have Tom Brady. So if there's anything left, any juice left in him, it's going to come out this year.
The standard has been elevated to an incredibly high level from Ryan Tannehill to Tom Brady. And also considering the fact that, it is a much different offensive scheme than it was in Tennessee. Tennessee does tend to have a lot of just very plain offensive plays in their book. So it doesn't do them a whole lot of justice to have such a star-studded receiver like Julio Jones.
Then you have Byron Leftwich as an OC who's done tremendous with weapons around him. Without going into too much detail, it's going to be a great thing to watch. And honestly, this is the first time in Julio Jones' career that he's played with a quarterback who's better than him. It's going to be fun for him to see because someone who's actually better than him, and Julio Jones is a Hall of Famer. Make no mistake about it.
No doubt at all. The only thing that I'm a little worried about, Ricardo, and I understand that some other NFL analysts have shared this sentiment, is he's 33 years old. He's starting to get up there in age.
Yes.
And secondly, he's suffered a couple of injuries, right? Mm-hmm. A couple of very difficult injuries for him to recover from.
Yeah.
But even based off of last year, despite the fact that he was in that offensive scheme with Tennessee, he still performed when he needed to, or when he had the opportunity.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, he's in a situation where I hate to mention them, but this is the best example I could think of. He's going to be what A.J. Green could have been for the Cardinals last year. Just getting one-on-one coverage, able to put out standard, good production as a solid receiver role. Because it's going to be Mike Evans, number one, Godwin, two.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have Bray as a tight end. It's not going to be double Julio every time, compared to the Titans where they just had to play two deep safeties.
Of course.
And that was it.
Of course, yeah. Just a very basic approach to offense. Now, switching over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I do firmly believe that Tom Brady, as well as the name is skipping me right now.
Yeah.
The head coach, Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles.
Yes, Todd Bowles as well. He's going to be utilizing him to their fullest advantage. I do firmly believe that. Another thing that also somewhat concerns me is the fact that, last year, as we all know, Tampa Bay was very injury prone.
Yes, they were.
Right. So this next season, we are hoping that everybody stays as healthy as possible, especially Julio Jones.
This is my point where I say, Jose, where Super Bowl champions, a bunch of bad luck happens their way. Maybe because they're not Super Bowl champions this year, the injury bug maybe goes elsewhere.
That's right.
Can't guarantee it, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, it is a very firm possibility, and maybe the injury bug will go to another team. Not that we're
It happens
basically throwing that way.
It happens every year. Every year, it happens to a team where everyone constantly somehow gets injured.
Oh, absolutely.
It just happens.
Yeah,
it's a part of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, with all that being said, we are going to be moving into our main topic, which is the NFC East. We're going to be continuing our mini-series, and we'll be discussing the New York Giants, the Washington Commanders, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Philadelphia Eagles. And we will basically give you, the listeners, our predictions as to where they will be placed in their respective divisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So do not go anywhere. And my name is Jose.
My name is Ricardo.
And welcome back to RJ Talks. First up, we have the team that has a lot of promise behind them,
yes,
especially with the good draft pickups that they had this past draft day. So far, the Philadelphia Eagles are looking very solid with Jalen Hurts leading the charge on the offensive side. On top of that, too, they have running backs such as Kenneth Gainwell. They have Jason Huntley. They have Miles Sanders. And they have Boston Scott, as well as a rookie from out of Oklahoma named Kennedy Brooks. I haven't seen a whole lot of him, but
I did see him play a little bit out of Oklahoma. He is definitely a solid running back. I can definitely see him just a rotational guy. Maybe potential to be like part of the like a two-headed monster if he's able to prove it. But he is a rookie, and he's not too big, Jose, but he is very, very quick and very aggressive. So that's definitely a positive for the Eagles. I'm excited to get started, and we're going to definitely learn a lot about this team, more specifically their quarterback this season. Jose.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Here's a first season where he actually has weapons all around him, a good team. You and I talked about it a couple of shows ago. I forgot which one it was. We forgot that this team made the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
No.
I remember we were having that conversation, and we realized like halfway through it said, "Wow, this team actually made the playoffs last year, and they just didn't have They didn't have nearly the amount of talent that they do now."
And as opposed to other unfortunate teams, myself included, they actually got a number one receiver. They actually used their draft pick for a very good reason, and they improved their offense this offseason with the pickup of A.J. Brown, which is going to be very, very exciting because they finally have a receiver that they need, a possession receiver, big, strong, very good for 3rd and 10s just for getting that first down compared to counteract Devontae Smith's speedster. Very, very good.
Yeah.
You definitely want different types of receivers on your offense. You got Goddard as a tight end, and it's going to be very exciting, Jose. If this team shows the promise that we think they will, they're easily going to be the division champs, in my opinion.
Oh, sure.
For sure.
Yeah. The Dallas Cowboys are definitely going to put up a fight like they usually do every single year.
Yeah.
That's not to say that they are the best team in the that they are the best team in the division, nor are they even close to being the best team in the conference. But that doesn't mean that the Eagles should just shy away from or should underestimate the Dallas Cowboys. However, I don't think they need to because of the strength that they have around them. Like you said, A.J. Brown is a good skill receiver. He's 6'1", 226 pounds. He's going into his 4th year. That's it.
Yeah.
He's a young kid. He's our age.
Yep.
Yeah, 25 years old.
He's barely hit his prime.
Yeah.
He's not. He might hit his prime. We'll see. But he's definitely showed a lot of promise. And here's going to be the age-old question about Jalen Hurts. Can he be a good quarterback passing the ball? Can he stay in that pocket, make the throws necessary that need him to be?
He's young.
If this Eagles team wants to be the division winner, he'll have to be. And this is, Jose, where we start to learn how quarterbacks are looking. This is going to be his 3rd year, if I'm
correct.
correctly.
His 3rd year.
Yeah. We're going to start to see a little bit about what he is and what he may become. You and I both agree, pretty much 5 years in, you are who you are at that point.
That's right.
You are who you are. There's very rare occasions where you might improve to who you are, about who you are, but you are who you are at that point.
It's not going to be any kind of drastic improvement like you would see in the first 3 years of an NFL quarterback's career. Yeah, so 5 years in, you have enough time to actually help to develop yourself. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of turnover in your staff. So if you're on a consistent path, then yes, we would expect to see this quarterback or just any quarterback in general show themselves within 5 years.
And the Eagles head coach, whose name is escaping me right now, but he did a very good job last year. He definitely started off the season sort of as a clown as far as how they had a rough start, but he was able to get that team to the playoffs, and now he's got his feet under him. He's going to be a 2nd-year head coach. It's going to be very, very interesting as far as what he decides to do with his strategy, specifically with the 3. He likes to play 3 wide receivers a lot, Jose. So if they play 3 wide receivers a lot, they're definitely going to have a spread out field to try to get someone to the running game and then do a read option, specifically with Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts. And we got to see. If I'm the coach, Jose, and I have Jalen Hurts, I try to make it as simple as possible. 1 read, 2 read, and try to run if you can. And then with a very spread off offense, you definitely get that option to make stuff a lot more simpler, as opposed to your traditional offense where you play action, you read the defense more. definitely going to help Jalen Hurts, but we'll see who he is at that point. But the strength of this Eagles team, surprisingly, Jose, is going to be their defense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, but before we get to that, I did want to bring up a.
Go ahead.
I did want to bring up a point and basically build off of what you were saying, right?
Yeah.
So they like you said, 3 receivers is what the head coach loves to play.
Yeah.
Right. The name is escaping me as well. So man, we're probably going to remember this in the middle of this segment, but 3 wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
It's looking to be a very pass-heavy offense.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't change their offensive scheme. The thing that worries me, though, is that with all of this talent around Jalen Hurts, the expectation is going to be very high on him. Right?
Yes,
with last year, people gave him the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Hey, you know what? He doesn't have this. He only has Devontae Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was his prime target. But now he's surrounded by top tier talent.
Mm-hmm.
So really, this next year, he doesn't really have an excuse to fail, right?
Yeah.
So on his end, he needs to hold up, right?
Yeah.
So I do agree with you.
Yeah.
In your claim, saying that it's good to simplify, right? Mm-hmm. Especially with what he has at his disposal, right? As far as his wide receivers go and his tight end. So for him to simplify it, and it makes it easier for him to read the field, obviously.
Yes.
Right? And in doing that, he's not going to get so overwhelmed as still a new quarterback. He's going into his 3rd year.
Absolutely.
So that's the challenge of the head coach. So that's really what it rides on, is the head coach and the quarterback. Can both of them deliver, and can both of them work together to achieve wins next year?
And one of the things that is going to be his best friend next year, Jose, because they're going to be focused on the receivers and the options around him, that screen game with Miles Sanders is going to be open a lot.
Oh yeah.
So if they ever if he's ever in trouble, or let's say they struggle to make a completion down the field, just make a screen every now and again. Get the confidence, momentum going, quick passes, stuff like that. Devontae Smith won't be doubled as much. Give him a quick slant. He's quick enough to make some plays out of it.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, going back to your point, Jose, it is going to be a lot of pressure, but it's deserved. It's a National Football League. So as long as there's reasonable expectations and outlandish expectations by fans. I agree with you there.
Absolutely.
He's not going to meet those outlandish expectations by some Eagles fans. Yeah, let's get ready. We might make the Super Bowl. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. You just need to see improvement from the quarterback with him. If he is dependable, he's been kind of a around high 50% completion percentage passer.
Yeah.
If he gets it up to low mid 60s, that's an improvement. Cuts down on turnovers and gets more passing touchdowns. That's something that you want to see. So it's up to Jalen Hurts. We'll see. We'll see what he does, and we'll see if he's more than just a guy who can run but has a strong arm.
So let's move on to the defense now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, defensive ends, right? We have Derek Barnett. We have Brandon Graham.
2 veterans.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Brandon Graham especially, he's going into his 13th year this next season. Yeah, 34 years old, he's still playing D-end. Yeah.
Gotta love it.
Very impressive. Yeah. Very impressive. Taron Jackson and Matt Leo, as well as Josh Sweat. Yeah. So those are the people that we're seeing on the defensive end side of the ball. Fletcher Cox, obviously,
captain of the defense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fletcher Cox, I've heard that. I've been hearing his name over and over and over again. Unfortunately, I did not see a whole lot of the Philadelphia Eagles last year, aside from just their record, as well as flashes of Jalen Hurts on the offensive side. So, but even then, I still keep hearing Fletcher Cox. This is something that I'm very excited for, though.
Yeah.
The fact that they picked up Jordan Davis out of Georgia, 6'6", 336 pounds, and is fast.
He's very similar to a player they already have on that team. 300-pounder who's very, very quick on his feet. Fletcher Cox.
It's
up to Jordan Davis to be glue to Fletcher Cox to learn everything he can from him to try to be great. Because I see what the Eagles were doing with this pick, and I love him too because he's very great at his position. They're looking for that next D tackle, run stopper, tough guy in the middle, very quick, and sometimes get pressure on the quarterback. They're looking at it as Jordan Davis. So they're trying to get him and Fletcher Cox to eventually play together this season to try to be both anchors in the middle of that defense. I'm excited for him too, and He was very, very good at Georgia. I'll say this because I did see them play a lot. He definitely stuck out, and people get
number one defense in NCAA last year.
Here's what bothers me about sometimes people think like you have to sack the quarterback to be a good defensive lineman. You do not. At D tackle, if you just hold your ground, as simple as that may be, hold your ground and create problems running or like create less space in the middle. That's where you eat. That's your job as a D lineman. You're not necessarily going to get the tackle every time, but if you hold your end and one of your linebackers is able to tackle the running back behind the line of field, you made that play.
Ultimately,
you made that play.
Ultimately, as long as you put pressure on the offensive side.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because that's the end goal, right? The end goal is not to get the tackle. The tackle is just the cherry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that gets the numbers up. That gets the stats up on your end, right?
You want to make that right guard, left guard, center very, very nervous when you line up across from them. Like, oh, this guy's quick. I got to be on my toes on this one. He might pull this move on me. Yeah. That's what you want.
Get under their skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Specifically with these quarterbacks who, every quarterback, if you get pressure up the middle, that's the problem. That's where they get scared, because if it's coming off an edge, they can always run towards one side or the other. But if it's up the middle, that forces them to be quicker. So we'll see how he does, dude. Maybe he gets a starting place on the team this year, but he's gonna have to earn it. He will have to, and in this league, it is not all about the size, and everybody's gonna want to see that. Obviously, they're gonna want to see the big man team up with the older big man. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they want to see that dynamic duo as fans, and I don't blame them at all.
Absolutely.
I don't blame them, one bit. So, as far as the D tackles go, let's just go ahead and move on to the linebackers. So we have Sean Bradley at the linebacker position. He is pretty much number one, right?
Yeah.
Third year into the league. This is a very young linebacker core.
Very young.
So, and Nakobe Dean is one of the draft pickups that they also acquired.
He was my opinion. That's one of the steals of the first round, specifically for the Eagles to go back up to get it. How many times did you hear me? You guys can look back at the episode too. You heard me screaming, "Get Nakobe Dean!"
Nakobe Dean and Trent McDuffie, which is the Kansas City Chiefs pickup.
Absolutely,
in that first round.
I think he has a chance to maybe be a starter this year, Jose. I think he has enough talent, but if he plays good, not all the way to potential, but like good enough, I think they can definitely put him up in the starter position, specifically because of what you just said. They're a young linebacker core, so if you get a young linebacker core, might as well give it time to your player, like your young guy, the one you just picked up, who you want to do stuff.
And it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you have a very young group of kids who can deliver and who have all the potential in the world. However, on the other side, they're young.
Yep.
So they also have the potential to be very immature and very spastic in the way that they play. So what they have to do is harken back to what they were taught at Georgia, right? And how effective that they were. They can bring that effectiveness to the league and learn that much more in order to, as far as their skill goes, in order to be effective in the NFL.
What I love about these two guys we're talking about in Georgia, they're specifically run stopping guys first on that Georgia defense.
Yes.
Obliterate the run and then be good at the pass. So the Eagles are definitely trying to get more run support to try to force teams to be one-dimensional. Yeah. And it's a possibility, but like you said, they're still young. We'll learn more about them. Darry Slayton is definitely their better corners in the secondary. Bradbury, I'm not too fond of, Jose. He's like one of these guys who just bounces around the league. But Darry Slayton is a solid veteran. Like, he'll definitely bring maturity to that secondary, and he's good enough to try to lead the team. But he's not I wouldn't say he's a top 7 corner specifically for that team. But he's decent enough. If they work together as a secondary, they have a chance to probably slow down, but that's definitely probably one of the weaknesses of the team is that secondary.
So it sounds to me like all of the attention is going to be on the D line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be on that defensive line as well as that linebacker core.
Yep.
So that's really where we should focus our attention on. They're going to be very vulnerable in the secondary, especially the safety core as well as the cornerback team. But we'll see. We'll see what happens if they continue to improve.
Yeah, and
it's like you said, all the eyes are going to be on the defense.
Absolutely. We can go ahead and pull up the schedule and see how they're going to do.
All right. So regular season week 1, they're playing against Detroit.
It's Gonna be a tough away game.
It will be. And if I remember correctly, we said that the Lions would have this.
Yes, we would.
Yeah, because they are the more aggressive team, and they are the more what's the word? Volatile.
Yeah,
volatile team.
More aggressive out of the two.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're gonna be hungry for some wins next year. It's gonna be fun to watch. So it's gonna be 0-1, and then we got them playing against the Vikings. Because it's at home, I can see the Eagles pulling this one out to get their first win of the year.
I can see it also, and it's going to be great training for the defense because that offense, with the exception of the quarterback, is very strong.
Yes.
So we're going to see those wide receivers hopefully getting pressured by that linebacker core, and that defensive line is just going to put more and more pressure on the quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah.
We both know Kirk Cousins. Give him some pressure, he folds like a cheap tent every time.
Yeah. So, and with that defensive line, it's going to look pretty good for them. So
Yes,
I will also give them that win. Next week is going to be the Washington Commanders. So I don't see the Commanders pulling this out.
It's going to be a close divisional game, but Eagles by 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Week 4 against Jacksonville.
At
home.
It's a win.
That's going to be a win as well. Week 5 against Arizona. I see Arizona winning this one. I believe that's what we said last week.
That's what we said last week as well, and just because it's an away game.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be at State Farm. Week 6 against Dallas.
I can see them splitting with the Cowboys. If they are going to split with the Cowboys, it would be the home game.
It would.
It would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got them going. Looks like 4-2. 4-2 going into the bye week.
Yep, that's right.
4-2 going into the bye week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a bad start.
They start off that hot. It'll be exciting.
Yeah. And when they get that rest time, they'll be going up against Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's definitely going to be a very, very tough game for them.
Although it is at home. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. The Steelers are...
A Mike Tomlin team is very hard to play against, but if they pick up their stride after the bye week, like they just had a week off,
I'll hand it over to them.
Give it to the Eagles. Yeah.
Hesitantly though.
You heard me stop myself.
Right.
There's a reason.
I hesitantly give it to them because that bye week could go any way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could get cocky going into that bye week, but honestly I don't see this team doing that. I don't see this team getting cocky. I don't see this team getting too over themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's just me. That's the perception that I have. Week 9 is going to be against Houston. Again, Davis Mills looks really good for that team.
Yeah.
So as long as he continues to develop, I think that the Texans, might pull this off. However, I am worried about the Texans' defense, though.
You took the words out of my mouth, dude.
Yeah.
I think this could be an upset game for the Eagles, specifically because the Texans are not necessarily a good team, but they're very what's the word I'm looking for? Scrappy. They're very, very scrappy. And Davis Mills has shown good decisions made by his part, and specifically with that weakness on the secondary by the Eagles, you can't see them losing this game, specifically because it is an away game.
Right.
So
yeah. And then right after that, they're playing the Commanders once again at home.
Going to be very interesting Monday night football game. I say Carson Wentz throws an interception to lose the game. Not necessarily that the Eagles outright win it. I see the Commanders losing it.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to come down to the wire because it is a divisional game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So week 11 is going to be against Indianapolis at Lucas Oil.
That's going to be a loss as much as we like the Eagles. That is going to be a loss.
Yeah. The Colts really don't look that bad this year. They didn't look bad this past year.
No.
Yeah, even with Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
So now that they have a much more mature and developed quarterback. Well, I hesitate to say mature. I would say more developed. That's what I would say.
Well, here's the thing. Ryan definitely has less turnovers than Carson.
Oh, absolutely.
So that'll help that defense a lot.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm giving this to the Colts.
Yeah.
Week 12 is going to be against Green Bay, a much healthier and more developed Green Bay team. So I see them losing it.
Yeah, I see them losing it too, just because it is Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Week 13, the Tennessee Titans.
Tough game. Very, very tough game.
It is at home, though.
It is at home. Mm-hmm. I say they can pull it out. I say they pull it out, but it's going to be by a Jake Elliott field goal.
It will be. Yeah. It looks like they're going to have a lot of close games on their end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But close games that they could very well win.
That shows a lot about their character as far as how they play in those close games.
Sure.
If they get play horrible, then same old Eagles.
Although this next one is a divisional game, I still see them winning this by a long shot, and it's still at MetLife.
I'd say by 15 points they win this game. At least.
I can't wait until we start talking about these guys. Yeah, and then week 15 is going against the Bears. I see them winning this. Yeah, especially week 15. They aren't going to lose to the Bears.
Yeah,
like they're not. I don't believe that they will let themselves lose to the Bears. Week 16, Dallas at AT&T.
If Dallas has some backbone, they will win the one at home.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah,
they will. Week 17 against the Saints.
Very tough game because both teams would be vying for that playoff spot.
But here's the
wild card.
But here's the thing: I have hope in them because of Jameis Winston and his ineffectiveness.
That's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So give it to the Eagles.
I'll give it to the Eagles too.
Yeah.
And then last one, New York Giants win.
Yeah, it's a bye week.
So it's looking very good for the Eagles, as we had predicted beforehand. Last year they were a playoff team. This year they're looking a lot better, especially on the defensive side.
I could see this, Jose, coming down to them winning the division by whether or not they sweep the Cowboys.
Yes.
If they sweep the Cowboys, they're going to win that division.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be that close, is what I'm saying. If they don't sweep it, I can still see Dallas barely pulling it out at the division lead. But if they sweep them, it's going to be their division.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how the Eagles pan out. Do not go away. The next segment we are going to be talking about Washington.
Yep.
Yeah. So do not go away. All right, next up, on the flip side, we have the Washington Commanders this next season.
This is going to be a fun segment, Jose.
Yeah. Taylor Heineke did show some promise here and there last year, but that doesn't mean that he is going to be any much better this next year, because he is going into his 5th year, and as we like to give it, it's within 5 years that they actually start showing who they are.
And his hero is Brett Favre, so that's all I need to know. That is all I need to know as for quarterback.
I remember when he said that. Yeah.
That's why he wears number 4, Jose, because he loves Brett Favre.
Yeah, of course. And of course, they picked up Carson Wentz from Indianapolis. Carson Wentz, as we know, and for those of you that don't know at home, he started off very, very strong, very hot in Philadelphia.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean, he helped lead that Philadelphia team to a Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, but he didn't finish the season due to an injury, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He tore his ACL in week 16 of the season, and everybody wrote Philly off. Like, okay, their quarterback's on. But that was one of the miraculous seasons for Philadelphia fans that they'll remember forever in history. However, we cannot escape or deny that Carson Wentz helped develop that record for them, and which led to them having home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Oh, he played the long. Yeah, he played the long game.
Yeah,
that's really what he was that is what he was very good at.
And he's gonna be, and he was gonna be the MVP. I love Tom Brady, but he was gonna be the MVP had Carson Wentz finished out the season.
Oh, he looked great
with the top seed of the Eagles. I was very, very excited about this guy, Jose. I'm like, this guy has great potential. Like, he looks smart. He throws, he makes great plays. He has a strong arm. He's great.
So what exactly happened is my next question, because I didn't keep up on a whole lot of Carson Wentz's career throughout the past
I'll tell you
5 years.
I'll tell you what happened. As much as that Super Bowl ring means everything to that year when they got it.
Oh, yeah.
It affected his career in a horrible way, because he forever had the pressure of living up to what his backup did. Then you won the Super Bowl, and he's your backup. We expect you to do the exact same thing here in Philly. That's what we want you to do, and that's what ended up going astray. And here's why: because I really don't think that he's as awful as he seems. But here's the problem: he's trying to live up to that magic that he had, that MVP season. So when he holds on to he's holding on to the ball, Jose. For those of you who don't know, for quarterbacks, if you're new to football, you want to get rid of the ball quickly, as quick as you can.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got monsters who are incredibly fast bearing down on you, trying to crush your face in. Mm. So when a quarterback holds on to the ball, it's very bad things. It's either going to be an incomplete pass, a very, very bad read, or a turnover. In Carson Wentz's situation, Jose, it ended up being a lot of turnovers. And he held on to the ball too long because he wanted to make that spectacular play. which he was known to do in Philly. Like he could pull it off, but it affected his game so much that he was no longer disciplined in what he wanted to do. Jose, he was no longer disciplined in his mechanics, in him throwing like short, concise routes, playing the short game. He fell in love with the big play, like some quarterbacks that we know, Jose, and it affected him all throughout, and especially with that shadow of the Super Bowl season. So that's what ended up happening to him in Philly, Jose. They got injuries, but it didn't help that he did not play good throughout those injuries. There was a season where he was okay, but you could see that his play was deteriorating year after year after year, Jose. And honestly, I'm surprised he's still a starter, dude, at this point. When he played...
So am I.
Because Indy was truly his last chance for people to see, okay, maybe he can actually be a good team. Like this Indy is a playoff team. They got a great defense, a solid running game. You just don't have to mess it up. Don't mess it up. Do not mess it up.
And what does he do?
He loses to Jacksonville in the final game of the year, and they miss the playoffs, Jose. You can't make that stuff up. Like honestly, the worst that could happen to Carson Wentz has happened, and Washington, him being the starter of that team, it's pretty much being a backup in every other good team in the NFL. His career days as a starter are over. He's just holding on to that last bit of hope and hurrah to gain some money and try to get some of that magic back. But pretty much that's what ended up happening, Jose. Once he got injured, he had to live up to the expectations. He couldn't live up to the expectations, and his play just got worse and worse and worse and worse.
He stopped focusing on his skill, and he started hyper-focusing on the bigger picture, which is to get the ball down the field and score the points. However, there's a process to doing that.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on the play, Jose, he focused on the scoreboard and trying to score.
That's right.
Every play. Instead of focusing on that one play.
Which is better than not caring about the game. Obviously, when you get to that level, you don't find a whole lot of players that just truly don't care about the game, right? Because they've gotten to a point where it's kind of all or nothing. But he's pushed that way too far. You know, his play style is very all or nothing, very similar to the running back in New York, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Right. After his ankle injury, that's all he played as was just all or nothing. And his rookie year, we'll get into that a little later, but just to touch on it, it's like his rookie year, he looked stellar. Right?
Yes, he did.
Very similar to Carson Wentz. He looked fantastic because the league was not used to them yet. So now that they understand what he plays like, everybody is adjusting around him, and he is not adjusting himself.
And what happened to Saquon that was similar to Carson, Jose? He got injured.
That's right.
They both got injured, and they wanted to live to that expectations and that play they had beforehand, as opposed to just focusing on that one play of who they are now.
Yeah.
But that's what's going on with Carson Wentz, and honestly, Jose, I'd be surprised if this team makes it 500 this year.
So would I.
Because other than Chase Young, you don't see too much talent. You got Terry McLaughlin as a receiver who's okay. Mm-hmm. They hype him up because he made like scrimmage yards, but he's not. He at most he's a second star receiver. He's not the main star.
He's not. And even then, that's their number one.
Yes.
That's the team's number one.
That's the problem. They have Curtis Samuel, another number 2 or 3. Number 2 at best, but best suited for a number 3. And then Jahad Dotson. They drafted this guy a couple years ago as a first-round pick. He hasn't done anything worth anybody. The reason they're not getting rid of him is because the GM, when they cut players, Jose, that they drafted, they have to admit, I was wrong. That's why a lot of GMs don't get rid of players when they should. They wait too long, and at that point, they can't get anything for them.
Because they don't want to face the heat
that
they would get from the press or us as viewers.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So on the defensive side, I'm not seeing a whole lot of names that I even recognize.
I respect Jonathan Allen because he has been a solid D tackle in this league. He's a great run stopper, and every now and then can get pressure.
Yeah,
but other than that,
every now and then, so it's still hot and cold.
Yeah.
So the theme that I'm getting from this team is that yes, there are flashes of very good.
Yes.
Not even great, but just very good. But that's it.
You got it, dude.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. No, that is exactly right.
Oh,
Montez Sweat, same thing. But here, I'll give him credit. Him and Chase Young are still young. Maybe they might end up being a dynamic duo, but they're not going to do anything this year.
No,
they're not. They are not going to do anything this year. My gosh, the linebacker core has fallen far down since London Fletcher retired, future Hall of Famer, hopefully. Sorry, that was what when Washington, like earlier in the years, he was their captain of the defense, their one shining star. But
and the oldest guy on this linebacker core is David Mayo.
Oh boy.
And it's just not.
Yeah.
He doesn't bring a whole lot of talent with that experience that he has. And he's not even the biggest he's not even the biggest linebacker in the. He's not even comparable to some of the biggest linebackers in the league.
Absolutely.
6'2", 240 pounds. That sounds like a running back.
It's an old school style of linebacker, Jose, is what that is. Where it's just very, very heavy to stop the run.
These guys need to get with the times then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And also just get better, period. So, all right. So with that
being said, let's move on
to the schedule.
Yeah.
So week 1 against Jacksonville. The ones that they... oh, man. Against Jacksonville. This is going to be a toss-up.
It really is.
Yeah.
But here, what has been the theme of our schedule prediction this year, Jose? Being positive. So let's be a little bit positive and hope that Carson Wentz does not screw this one up.
At home.
At home.
Of all places.
And so I say by a point, though. It's going to take a Joey Sly game-winning field goal for them to win this game.
It will.
Washington, but barely.
Yes. Week 2 against Detroit, they aren't winning that.
No, Detroit's winning that.
No, Detroit is definitely winning that. Week 3 against Philly, they aren't winning it either, and they are at home.
Yep.
Yeah, so they aren't winning that one. Dallas, man, 2 divisional games in a row in the first 4 weeks. Dallas is not letting themselves lose at home to Washington, but it could be very close.
It's a divisional game. It can be close or it could be a blowout, but Dallas at home, yes.
Yeah, I'll still give it to them.
Yeah.
Week 5 against Tennessee at home. Tennessee, as bland as Tennessee's offense is, I don't think the defense is still going to be able to keep up with them. That's just my prediction.
Well, the thing is that the strength of Washington's defense is the front four.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to stop Derrick Henry.
Most definitely not. And you know that Tennessee loves to run it down every single chance that they get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week is against the Bears. This might be their first win.
Yeah, just because the Bears are a very, very weak team overall.
They are, yeah, and they're still developing this next year, especially on the offensive side. So I don't see them scoring a whole lot of points. Yeah, so week 6, I'm going to give it to Washington.
Yeah.
Week 7 against Green Bay, they aren't winning that.
No, they're not.
No. Week 8 against the Colts, nope, not at home.
Nope.
The Colts are not going to be losing to Washington at home. Week 9 against the Vikings at FedEx Field. They aren't going to be able to keep up with that offense, man. But that front four could very well put pressure on Kirk Cousins.
It's going to be a balance whether Dalvin Cook can run the ball down their throats or not.
Yeah.
And honestly, with the Vikings, it's on or off some games. So it's very, very could be a very close game, but I don't see them stopping them. I don't. Yeah, I don't see them stopping every part of their offense.
Week 10 against Philly, nope.
Philly's going to win that at home.
Philly's winning that at home.
Yeah.
Week 11 against Houston at NRG. You see, it's tough because you have, again, the Texans' defense is not very strong at all, but their offense is looking really good. However, Davis Mills is still young.
If Carson Wentz has any backbone, he'll win this game.
He will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Week 12 against Atlanta. I don't think
Atlanta's still too weak of a team.
They are. Yeah.
And even if it's at home.
And if I remember correctly, 2 weeks ago, we did predict that Atlanta would lose this.
Yes.
Yeah. So, week 13 against New York. Man, it's going to be a rough season for them. They don't get a bye week until 14.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to be... They're the first team to get 2 bye weeks in a row, Jose. It's nice. It's going to be nice for them. Oh, excuse me, 3. 3. Never mind. Yeah, 3 bye weeks.
3 bye weeks.
They're going to be very, very well rested.
Yeah, and they should be because the week after they're playing the 49ers.
They're going to have a tough 3-game series to finish it off. I say San Francisco has developed to they're going to be in the playoffs at this point. I say San Francisco beats them.
They will, especially. Well, in the past, throughout the past 3-4 years, the 49ers have been a consistent playoff team.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, and
even with injuries too, which is amazing.
Exactly. So, and not even just wild card contenders like last year. They went to the conference championship.
Yep.
So. No, they're not getting themselves shut out by Washington just before the playoffs.
Yep.
No, absolutely not. So the Niners are going to win that. The Browns, looking much better this next season, and especially with a much more developed Deshaun Watson. If he does play this season.
I'll say this, Jose. I still think the Browns beat them with Jacoby Brissett under center.
Yeah,
it's no difference to me if it's Deshaun or Jacoby.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
So they're still going to beat them. They're still a much stronger team from top to bottom.
If Deshaun plays this next season, they are most definitely losing this.
Yeah.
Most definitely losing this, and it's probably going to be a blowout.
Yes.
As far as the Cleveland Browns are concerned. Jacoby Brissett, they're still going to win it, but just not.
It's not going to be a blowout.
Not by that much. Yeah. So, all right. Week 18 against Dallas. That's a win for Dallas. So, we figured that it was going to be pretty easy to determine how many wins Washington was going to have this next year.
I lost count, dude. I didn't even keep count. Yeah, so
I didn't keep count either.
Yeah.
I mean, they had at least 3 wins with that. They're going to be playing the Giants twice, and then they have a bye week. So they're going to be winning. Excuse me, they're going to be winning 2 games at least.
They're going to be okay. They got Atlanta. Okay, so 5 wins, 6. They're going to be a top 10 team in next year's NFL draft, pretty much.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So
definitely.
With that being said, let's move on to the absolute joke of the franchise, the New York Giants.
we may be talking about Washington as if they're the joke, but trust me, I mean, this next segment is just going to be even more fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So don't go away. All right, the New York Giants. This next season are just again not looking good at all.
They were challenging for worst team in the league, but Seattle's definitely far and away the winner for next season, being the number 1 draft pick. Let's go into this team, Jose.
Okay, so first off, you have Daniel Jones, whose position on the Giants team as the starting quarterback is currently doubtful. There are plenty of headlines out there that are covering this very topic, where Daniel Jones is looking to be replaced after this next season, if not just before the season. I don't know who the hell is going to be replacing him, but they have Tyrod Taylor still.
People forget Tyrod Taylor's a very, very good player. Very capable starter in this league. Very good guy to lead it. So I could see, like you said, Daniel Jones letting the season go away, like putting up another Daniel Jones kind of year where Tyrod Taylor is going to take over to try to get some wins off of this team. People forget he was the starter for the Chargers before he got punctured in the lung by the team doctor. And then Justin Herbert never looked back.
Right.
Daniel Jones, this is going to be his last year as a starter, Jose. This is definitely going to be his last year as a starter for them, Jose, because I don't see him getting better at all. I see him getting worse. Last year, I saw film in practice where he threw an interception directly to the linebacker, dude. I need to show you that later
In practice.
And the worst part, there was nobody within 5 yards of that linebacker. Nobody near him. There wasn't like an over route or an under route like he maybe overthrew it or underthrew it. He threw it right at him. Like, right at him. I've seen film like that. I'm just like, how do you keep this guy as your starter? This is ridiculous. And just because he's athletic and can run a little bit, Jose, they're like, oh, he's Danny Dimes. He has potential. Like, he has good ball play.
He's Danny Dimes. Yeah, he's the next Lamar Jackson. Holy crap. I mean, he looks exactly like Lamar Jackson because he can run.
Come on, dude. And you, I don't know if you watched Eli play. I think that was a little before your time, but even Eli didn't look as like it wasn't as painful as this because you knew who Eli was.
I've seen some film where Eli is playing for New York, and you and I both agree that he was just a weird quarterback.
Yes,
man.
he was.
He was one of the weirdest quarterbacks to ever play the game. The reason being is that he pulled out some of the greatest wins under the toughest odds, right? But easy wins, threw him away.
And here's the thing, like, Eli was to the level, like close to that level of Daniel Jones awful. But for some reason, he pulled out amazing plays when it counted in the playoffs.
He won 2 Super Bowls.
Yes, exactly.
Against the New England Patriots.
Yes.
One of them being in 2007 when the Patriots almost went entirely undefeated.
My first game, I still remember it to this game, dude. We're straying a little off topic. But the point is that I don't get New York, he's not Eli. He is not going to miraculously be some other player in the playoffs and lead you to another Super Bowl. That's not him.
No.
It just isn't. It isn't. And they're frankly wasting their time. They should have cut this guy last year. But the reason they didn't is because they were listening to me, Jose, when I said there are not good quarterbacks in this draft class. They're waiting for Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud to be available in next year's draft.
Yeah, they are.
That's what they're waiting for.
Yeah. Quick side note:
yes.
Bryce Young is looking really, really.
Oh, he's going to be the top quarterback for whenever he gets out of the draft class.
For sure.
Yeah.
And of course, as we were talking about the last segment, Saquon Barkley is still their top running back.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley took such a nosedive, and that offensive line is still getting better. Now, what's so ridiculous is that back in 2018, Saquon Barkley put up 1,300 rushing yards in his rookie season.
Yep.
I mean, he looked sensational.
Yes, he did.
His name was everywhere, right? And his offensive line, the New York Giants offensive line in 2018, their average adjusted line yards, which for those of you that are at home, it's basically the offensive line's impact on helping the running back get yards.
Yep.
Right. So that's the stat. That's basically bare bones the stat. If you want to go ahead and check out some more information on that, there's a website here. Let me pull it up here really quick. There's a website called Football Outsiders.
Oh, go ahead.
Football. Yeah. There's a website called Football Outsiders that explains that stat very, very well. So that's essentially what it comes down to, is that, and their average adjusted line yards that year was 3.9. 3.9 yards. They averaged that much.
What he's getting at is that the New York Giants offensive line was worse. Pretty much,
Okay, Ricardo, to put that into perspective, the top 5 offensive lines from last year.
Yes.
Right. We're number 1, Cleveland, according to offensive line stats. Right.
Of course.
So number 1 was Cleveland. Number 2 was Dallas. Number 3 was Green Bay. 4th was Philly, and 5 was Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Tampa Bay sitting at number 5. Their average adjusted line yards was 4.68. All right.
Yeah.
3.9. They averaged 3.9 yards. So that is the impact that they had on their run game. All right. Mm-hmm. That's not good.
It's not.
That's not good at all. They are not helping him even get halfway down halfway to first down. They're not even letting him get there.
Yes.
So, but Saquon Barkley despite that, was still able to pick it up, right?
Yeah.
And they periodically got better, right? So in 2018, that was their average adjusted line yards. 2019 was 3.96, and then 2020 was 4.2. So it was an incremental improvement.
Then the thing about
throughout those 3 years.
The thing about that rookie year, Jose, is that he showed great instincts too. He knew his line wasn't as good, but he showed great instincts to cut in or cut out or go way out and try to stretch out the field. That's what made it so incredible for him to watch. But like we talked about Carson Wentz, he got that injury and he just maybe got in his head a little bit, trying to live up to that expectations as well. But I just feel bad for him, dude, because he had the potential to be a franchise starting player, and now he's just hoping to be a good running back, a decent and good running back. Now, and he won't be that for this team. I hope he goes to another team, honestly.
I hope so as well. And the thing about him is that, like you said, he had a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
And neither one of us could say that was the cause, right? We aren't doctors. We weren't the ones that examined him after he got injured. But we could say that there is a very high chance that was part of the issue.
Yes.
Right? Because before this ankle sprain, right, he was averaging 5.3 yards per carry.
Yep.
Yeah. Right after that, he started averaging 3.9. This past season, he averaged 3.7. So he's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And he had so much potential. So it's always so difficult to see a great player like him just start dwindling so early on in his career.
Or a young, let's put it in perspective, a young player with a great start.
He's 25 years old.
Yeah, exactly. He's a young player and he had a great start and he's looking like it's at the end of the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
already within 5 years. He's going on his 5th year.
Yeah.
How is this happening?
I don't know, dude.
It's just, it's tough. It really is. Aside from him, And he is the focal point as well as Daniel Jones of this team. So we thought we would basically pretty much just hit up on that. A lot of these wide receivers, you have Alex Bachman, you have CJ Board, Keelan Doss. Again, just not a whole lot of names that really stick out to me. Those names that I just don't recognize very well. Darry Slayton was pretty good this past season. He wasn't the best, but he showed some promise, right?
Kenny Golladay is I think he's getting a little bit exposed as far as like he was more a product of Matthew Stafford than he was a great receiver specifically for Detroit, because he had two really good years with Detroit, and then Matthew Stafford's no longer his quarterback. He's not having a great year. Sterling Shepard, he's always okay. Their pick of Kadarius Toney in the draft was always mind-boggling to me. Like, this guy out of a small school, like, depending on like it being explosive, but you don't see it. Like, explosive guys, Jose, you see it immediately when they play. Like, you see, man, this guy can actually move. Like
Julio Jones, for example.
This guy, like, he may get tackled, like, but you see him like move. You're like, man, that guy is very intense. Jamar Chase, explosive guy. Like, you his first year, you see it. Granted, I know it's an anomaly of the greatest rookie receiver season of all time, but like early on, you saw like, man, this guy can really move. Like, he's very effective.
As an athlete in any sport, now obviously there are a lot more. There are some other sports that are much more cerebral in nature.
Yes.
Right. They give you time to think. Right. Such as baseball. Baseball gives you a lot of time to think.
Oh, absolutely.
But in football, especially, it is a highly instinctive sport. And the moment you start getting into your head is the moment things start to fail for you.
Specifically for skill position players. Again, there's people who are new to the show. Skill position pretty much are your running backs, wide receivers, defensive backs, safeties. The quickest, most athletic guys on the field are your skill position.
Yes.
And yes, there's strategy that goes into what they play, but it's their instincts as far as when they're on the field, how they move, how they adjust, how they get the space, how they make the play, how they catch. Like,
absolutely.
That's exactly to what you're saying, Jose. It's like, it's very, very instinctual for those guys. And like, you just got to do it. Either you can do it or you don't.
You do, yeah. To quote a quarterback that was picked up in 2000 in Tom Brady's draft class. Oh man, T. Martin.
Yes.
T. Martin. He was picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. He stated something that was very obvious, but also still sticks with us. He said, "The NFL is such a bottom line business." He said, "You either get it done or you're not there anymore."
He also said, "It's about production."
It's about production. That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. So to quote it absolutely correctly, it would be the NFL is a bottom line business. It's about production. You either get it done or you're not there anymore. So it really comes down to that, man. I mean, it's like you said, since you played defensive end in high school, right? It's like you said, right? It's such an easy job that it's hard.
Yep.
Because it's so hard, because it's so easy to get into your head.
Oh yeah.
About what your job or what your role is.
That's why, dude. You see a lot of receivers in the league that not put to the point of delusional about being as cocky as they could be, because you need that mindset, because you don't want to mess up. You're like, worry about what? I got this. It's nothing.
Exactly.
This is easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
On the bright side of this team, though, there are plenty of downsides, and we can just talk about these till we're blue in the face. But on the bright side, they did pick up a solid offensive tackle out of Alabama, Evan Neal.
Yep.
Yeah. 6'7", 350 pounds. I mean, just a monster presence on that offensive line. So he's looking pretty good, but is he going to be the one to carry the team as a rookie?
That's the thing with building blocks, Jose, is like they don't really lead into anything flashy. They're a foundation that you need, but foundation's not sexy, and it doesn't lead to immediate results. But it's what you need in the long term, and that's what he is. He was a top O-line prospect in this year's draft, like, no question. Like, there was debate if he was going to go number one, if Jacksonville wanted to protect Trevor Lawrence. But yeah,
and back
up right side.
And back down to reality. All right. So they also picked up a defensive end who we thought was very questionable going into the season. We talked about him in an earlier segment. Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. Yeah, 6'5", 258 pounds. He's an aggressive presence for sure.
Yes,
However, he is not a very skilled player. He's not an Aiden Hutchinson. Right. So he was very much in talks of being one of the top prospects in the defensive end category specifically, but in the entire draft even, right? His name was being mentioned everywhere, right? Along with Aiden Hutchinson. he's a very aggressive player, but there's no nuance to that aggression, right? He doesn't know when to stop doing that. And I don't see the New York Giants really helping him refine those skills.
And here's the thing, like if Hutchinson had the athleticism and explosiveness that this guy had, you have a potential Hall of Famer in your hands with the skill and the athleticism. But that's the thing, the skill is also very important. Everybody's athletic in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Everybody.
And those are things that you can develop and improve in the weight room. It's not a huge mental thing, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you do have to have the discipline, and I would hope that these professionals have the discipline to go to the gym every single day, right? And continue to improve their physical game. But it is a lot harder to develop your skills than it is to develop your instincts, your aggression, your ability to put pressure on physically, and just physical dominance and intimidation onto the other team.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So absolutely. And that's why we ourselves preferred Aiden Hutchinson over Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We could. You want to get into the schedule? Dude?
Let's go into the schedule. There's really not a whole lot more to say about this team's roster. So let us go ahead and get into the schedule. So while I'm pulling that up, just letting everybody know, if you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Either that or follow our Instagram at rjtalks_11. Thank you for the support. Really.
We appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. So here we go. Week 1, they're going to be playing against Tennessee.
That Tennessee, so I see that as a loss for them.
So do I. Yeah. The next one is going to be against Carolina. Carolina is not looking to be a very strong team this next season. However, it is early in the season for both the Giants and Carolina. So I could see Carolina winning this one.
Here's the thing, and they're going to be coming off playing against the Browns. The Giants are going to seem like a much more easier task for them.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah. Dallas.
It's going to be a loss. Yeah.
Nope. Against Chicago. This one's going to be a toss-up.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And I do believe that Chicago could win, but I mean, it's going to be very close.
I'm hopeful, but I'm realistic. I can see Justin Fields being the reason that they win this game. It's not going to be pretty by any stretch of the imagination or definitive, but Chicago's going to win this game.
This is going to come down to the quarterback, and Justin Fields is a much more dedicated and just overall a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
Yep.
Yeah. So next is against Green Bay. Not a win.
No.
Most definitely not. Against Baltimore.
One of the loss. Yeah.
Yeah. This one is at Jacksonville against the Jaguars. I see the Jaguars losing this one.
Only because they have a weaker team.
Right.
Trevor Lawrence has a good potential, but this team is still just awful.
Sure. Yeah. The next one is against Seattle, at Seattle. Now, I see Seattle winning this one only because it's at home.
Yep.
For them. And I mean, you know how crazy that stadium gets. Yeah. So I do see Seattle winning this one. One of their very, very few wins this next season.
Yep.
So a very rough start for New York going into the bye week. Right after that, they're facing the Texans. I don't see them beating the Texans.
I don't either.
Yep. So that is one and done. Next is against Detroit. Nope, not at all. Not in week 11.
Nope.
Not in week 11. At Dallas. Nope. Next one is Washington. Nope. I don't see them winning that one either. No. I don't see them winning against Philly. Don't see them winning against Washington again, right?
Yeah.
Next one is against Minnesota. At Minnesota? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Versus Indianapolis? Not at all. Then the next one at Philly at the end of the season. So they're going to cap it off with another loss.
Yep.
So this team is looking bad, man. They're very easily going to fall into fourth. In the division.
They're gonna be fighting Seattle for that top pick in the NFL draft next year. It's gonna be very, very interesting as far as what happens.
Yeah, they just might get it. Yeah, they just might get that number 1 draft pick. Now, again, that's the silver lining, right?
Yeah.
If you do have a terrible season, then the next season you have the opportunity to pick up who you need, right?
Yeah.
Or those very big name players that are hopefully going to help you develop your team. But we'll see. Yeah. So. Just ending that segment, moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. Do not go away. This is our very last one.
Yep.
Okay, this next season, Dallas Cowboys, our favorite team, Ricardo. Yeah, personally. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
So we cannot talk about this team without talking about Mike McCarthy, who is the head coach. Now, Ryan Clark had a hot take on First Take. He was mentioning that he personally does not believe that Mike McCarthy is good for Dallas. I personally disagree.
Okay.
Because Mike McCarthy has shown some promise in much higher stakes, right? Obviously, he did take the Green Bay Packers to a Super Bowl, and the Green Bay Packers have not won a Super Bowl since then, right?
Yeah.
So he has helped develop the Packers to where they are now, and right after that, he starts taking Dallas Cowboys to what they are. What they currently are, and he's still maintaining that standard, right? So I do think that Mike McCarthy, with time, will continue to help develop Dallas, right? But here's the problem: Jerry Jones. He's the biggest hurdle.
Yep.
For that team, because he has his hand in everything, and the fans love it. It seems like Dallas is just much more concerned with showmanship.
Yep.
As opposed to actual results. Yeah, so they are the flashiest team in the NFL.
You know what? You might have a point. I was with you if you said that he's the perfect coach for Dallas because he can stroke Jerry Jones' ego all day long. But as far as actually winning, I don't agree with you, dude. I can't agree with you because I saw him with Aaron Rodgers after the Super Bowl years.
Yeah.
He had just as much as part of that as far as Aaron Rodgers for their failures, specifically in the playoffs as well. And this past year, when it came down to coaching decisions, you were just like surprised at what he was doing. He had mismanaged clock situations at halftime games. Towards the end of halftime, losing play. How did Dallas season end, dude? If you remember correctly,
This past
season. How did it end? What was the final play?
That's right. That was a running play.
They ran a QB draw with 17 seconds left and no timeouts to try to get in range for a field goal.
I remember that. It's just you
can't be that undisciplined, dude. Like that's just I just can't believe it. Like I'm just like, you're an NFL head coach, and they're like, okay, Dak, here's what we're gonna do. They're gonna be off the sidelines. We're gonna catch them off surprise, and we're gonna run up the field. Now, if I was a coach, I'd say, no. I'm not gonna run up anything. Like it's either gonna be a pass towards the sideline, incompletion, or we're just gonna do a Hail Mary or a kick a long field goal.
Well, here's another thing too. Is that yes, that might have been a slip up on his end.
Yes.
Right, because he's not known for making huge mistakes like that. Yes, he's known for making questionable decisions.
Yeah.
However, he doesn't make monumental mistakes like that.
Yeah.
Constantly, right? And on top of that too, he's going into 15 years into his NFL career, and he is 25th in the winningest coaches list. Right. Obviously, those top three are going to be Don Shula, George Halas, Papa Bear, Papa Bear,
yeah.
Right, and number 3, Bill Belichick. All right.
And
he has a lot of potential to continue to up his winning game.
And here's my counter to that.
Yeah.
You have Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as your quarterbacks. You better win some games, dude.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
my counter to that argument. It's just
absolutely.
Look. Okay, he's not awful.
No, he isn't.
But here's my point. I think the game has passed him by. Like, I think he honestly doesn't have any newer strategies than he did when it was the early 2000s. You and I both know it's a very, very more different game now compared to the early 2000s. Like, I don't see adjustments to modernize his strategies. I just don't.
Well, you could also attribute a lot of that, like we said a few weeks back, to when we were talking about Dak Prescott and why he's just this. He looks fantastic on paper, but he just doesn't look that good on the field. And it all seems to be miscommunication between not only Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, for instance, right? It's also between Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones, because Jerry Jones's focus is elsewhere.
It's hard to say it, dude. But when he's no longer the owner, that's when they can get a chance to be more relevant again. Like that's just what it comes down to. Like, it's not going to change. I mean, that incident at draft night where he showed their list after their first round.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was on our top list. Take a look at this, and shows the video. It shows
and everybody
and then and this son's like, don't show him that. It's like, stop. Like, this isn't your show. Like, come on.
Right.
It's ridiculous. It's just. I mean, what more can we say about this team? There's talent there's talent on the team, but then there's
all over the place. Again, this is a team that looks fantastic on paper, but just nobody wants to utilize them to win because that's not their focus. Their focus is to be America's team.
And here's
they'd be a fantastic political team if they were to campaign. If they were to campaign to some sort of greater end, and then Dak Prescott is looking to be governor of Texas. Fantastic. All right, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
but that's not what this is. They're here to win games.
It's just they like, oh, they're bright when they face the lower end of the NFL, but to the standard that a lot of fans, which I hate in this country and in Mexico too, which you have no idea how that annoys me, dude. It's either a Cowboys or a Steelers fans in Mexico. My point is that spot belongs to the Patriots. Like, it belongs to the Patriots as far as America's team consistently winning excellence. The Cowboys are like, oh, this will be our year. We'll see. Oh, we lost, but we'll get them next year. You know, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Like, we're the Dallas Cowboys, and it ends in either a first-round playoff loss, not making the playoffs, and then they haven't made a conference championship. My goodness, dude. My Cardinals have made 2 conference championships since the last time this team won a Super Bowl, dude.
The last time this team even went to a Super Bowl, they were still distributing the Super Bowl on VHS tapes.
Yes, they were. Like, my goodness, dude. Like, that's my point. It's just like, my Cardinals were awful. I mean, to me, they're still awful at this point. But like realistically, as a team, we're awful. Like, for 60 years, and they've made it to conference championships before the Cowboys. Tom Brady has won a Super Bowl before the Cowboys have in 25 years, in 1 year in the NFC.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make it up, dude. You just can't. You can't. And like, it's time for people to acknowledge what the Cowboys are. A mediocre on the borderline good team. It's what they are.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands about it. We could go into detail about Dak, but we spent an episode talking about him.
We want
to try to get into the bigger picture of the Cowboys.
Yeah, so if you want to go back and actually listen to the episode where we do talk about Dak Prescott, we talk to him in detail. We talk about the Dallas Cowboys organization and how that influences his play. So next thing that we're going to be going into is the schedule.
Yep.
So here, week 1, right out of the gate, playing Tampa Bay.
It's gonna be a loss.
It will be.
They might do the same thing that they did last year and make it a close game towards the end.
They probably will. Yeah. But that's not to say that they're going to win it. We're still predicting that they'll lose it, especially with the pickups that Tampa Bay has acquired, as well as Tom Brady still being at the top of his game.
Yeah.
So week 2 is going to be against Cincinnati.
I give it to Cincinnati.
Yeah, so do I. I see them losing it, but just by a very small margin.
Yep.
Yeah. Week 3 is going to be against New York. That's a bye week. Week 4 is going to be against Washington.
Another win.
Another another win. Week 5 is going to be against the Rams.
It's at LA.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yep.
Forget about it.
Nope.
No.
Week 6 is against Philadelphia. So this will be a close one, but
this is what we said that Philadelphia's going to split. They're going to win the one at home.
They will be. Yeah. Week 7 is against Detroit.
To win.
Yeah. Week 8 is against the Chicago Bears.
Going to be another one.
And then week 9, a bye week. So 3 bye weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, week 7 is going to be a bit more of a challenge because it is against Detroit. But week 10 is going to be against Green Bay.
At Green Bay too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's not going to end well for them.
No. Week 11, Minnesota, at US Bank. So I don't see them winning that one either. Week 12 is going to be New York.
Wow, they get a bye week after the bye week. Incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Week 13 against Indianapolis. Now this one's going to be tough. This is going to be a tough game.
Similar idealistic teams that wanted. Well, not anymore. The when they were rookies, they were pretty much identical teams. Run the ball teams, tough defense, like very try to be very balanced.
Yes.
It'll be close, but I'm gonna give it to Matt Ryan.
So
I'll give it to Matt Ryan to pull out that game.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Week 14 is against Houston. I don't see them losing this one. I don't see Dallas losing this one.
No.
Week 15 is at Jacksonville.
They're gonna win.
Yep. Week 16 against Philadelphia. Now I see them beating Philly in this one.
Yes, I do
because
too.
like you said, we're going to be. That's pretty much going to be the split. It's a divisional game against the top two in that division.
Yeah.
Week 17 is going to be at Tennessee. Kind of a toss up.
It is.
I see Tennessee losing.
I see the Dallas pulling off the upset. They're going to be desperate to make the playoffs too.
They will be. Yeah.
And
Week
then-
18, Washington.
Bye week.
Yeah, bye week.
So it pretty much just come down to they do have a bit of a tough schedule, but if they win all the games they're supposed to win, and they beat Philly, like they should win this division. Like it should not be a question.
They should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just going to be a dogfight for first place.
Yes, it will.
It will be.
Yeah.
I do have some hope for Philadelphia because it's already been so long. It's already been so long for them. It's about time that they start to actually buck up, and it's about time that Jalen Hurts actually starts doing his best.
We just got to see it.
Yeah,
That's our
we
thing
do.
with Philly. We just got to see it to believe it.
We do.
We're like might be something, but you have to see it to believe it.
We can speculate all day.
Yes.
Yeah, but all in all, it comes down to the season.
Yes, it will.
So in order, if Dallas pulls it off, they're going to be number one. If Jalen Hurts stands up to the challenge and recognizes the talent that's around him and utilizes them efficiently, then Philadelphia is going to be winning it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to come down to the two of them. Obviously, New York's at the bottom, and then number 3 we have Washington.
Yep.
So there's a reason why the press calls this division the NFC Least.
Yeah, because there's not enough competition or expectations with the other teams in the NFL. Philadelphia just started getting more relevant since their Super Bowl just now. Since when?
Right.
After that, it was just Dallas. Like, okay, it's a walk to the playoffs, and that's why when they face good, tough, disciplined teams, they fold.
They do.
Every time.
They do.
That's part of the reason why this keeps happening to them. This division itself.
For sure. So this division was pretty much the most anticlimactic one. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to really say about this division.
No.
Yes, you have your star-studded players, and you have these new guys that are going to hopefully offer something to these struggling teams. The bottom two struggling teams specifically. But all in all, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, except with the exception of the first two.
And we're going to reward ourselves by talking about this pathetic division, by talking about the AFC next week. It's going to be a lot more fun, a lot more excitement in our voices compared to this episode. So, there you go. We have a Dallas winning barely. But we have faith in Philly. If Philly shows us potential, like, okay, it's going to be Philly. But
Right, yeah. But if history repeats itself, Dallas is going to be winning this division, for sure. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Once again, if you like what you hear, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and follow our Instagram at RJTalks_11. All right. And if there are any suggestions or any requests as to, things that you would like for us to talk about, just go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you guys.